What are we talking about
Well,
today?
September we recognize the divine power of order. Order. Ayanla Van Zant says something interesting.
You need to use the mic.
She says, prayer, I just was turning my arm for a moment. Prayer is asking for rain. Prayer is asking for rain. Faith is carrying an umbrella. Faith is the inner sense of knowing that with divine order working on your side, all things will come together for your good. Did you get that?
Mm-hmm.
Faith is knowing that there is a divine plan and purpose for some of the things in life.
It doesn't say
No
that.
rebuttal to that. For everything in life. Oh my goodness. Should we say that again? Faith is knowing that there is a divine plan and purpose for everything in life, except for that little bitty thing over here. No. Everything. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a powerful concept if you can get it, a powerful thought if you can
You
really
know,
get that.
and a plan is sometimes people confuse predetermination. You know, in other words, everything's just been predetermined, just kind of like a robot walking around. All right, it's time to do this now. It's time to do. That's not what we're talking about. The plan means there's a blueprint. There's a guide for you, so that when you get on the wrong road, there are signals that will say, "Hey, you're moving in a direction that you don't need to go in." And so there's signs, there's little feelings and intuitive hunches on the inside that you know, a voice that speaks inside says, "Hey, go the other direction," you know, or that says, "This just doesn't feel right," right? So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about a divine plan. It's not that everything is pre-programmed, but it's that along the way you will get guidance, and you will, if you follow it, then you will take the higher road, the better path, the clearer way. The one doesn't mean that there's not going to be challenges, not going to be hurdles, there are not going to be things for you to overcome, because that's part of why we're in this earthly dimension, is to test ourselves and see how brilliant and wonderful we really are. Say it with me, I'm brilliant, I'm wonderful, and I'm feeling fabulous. Are you feeling fabulous? You might as well, right? So order is the ability to organize, sequence, balance, and adjust. Order works in balance with love to create harmony. Say it with me. Ooh. Ah?
What?
Oh.
You said say ooh. I was saying ooh. I was thinking about the word adjust.
Oh, okay. Yeah, talk about that.
Well, sometimes that's really difficult.
Yeah.
I don't like to adjust. I want things to be this way, and I want it to flow smoothly this way.
Yes.
I don't want to have to adjust. But one of the things that we've learned around here is the idea of flexibility, which is making an adjustment, right? Being flexible. Because if you're not flexible, you what? You break.
Yeah.
You need the flexibility. You need to be able to adjust. And I was thinking about is so much, I know we've used this example before, but it's being on the proverbial highway of life. And even if you get off on the quote unquote wrong road, it really isn't the wrong road, right? We can choose not to listen to those hunches that say, hey, get off at this exit. And we can go on down the road and encounter the road work and have to sit there for 6 hours, right? But it's still, we get to where it is that we're supposed to go. It's just a little bit of a different experience getting there.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is, you know, divine order. There is a plan and a purpose. It's just a matter of how, if we want to take the high road or we want to take the bumpy road, or, you know, it gets us there. But that ability to be able to adjust and be flexible is really important.
Well, it's important to remember this quote that we say a lot in Unity. Misery is optional. Misery is optional, right? You can choose to go the hard way, but then don't blame everybody else, right? I chose this. You always want to bring everything back under your power. Ooh, bring it into your power. I'm responsible for my feelings, not you. You can't make me feel anyway unless I allow it, right? Now, when I go to the theater, I'm allowing them to manipulate my emotions a little bit. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, I'm on the ride, you know, and ooh, looks like they're going to be overcome. And then, you know, the hero stands up and says, aha, you dastardly villain. We're going to overcome here. And then you woohoo, and then you know, and you give permission to people, right? Leah has permission in my life to, you know, to kind of, you know, cause me to feel certain ways, right? But at the same time, how many understand? Wait a minute. It's not this or that. It's this and that, right? So yes, there are times when she makes me feel good, right? By complimenting me. Now elevate your thinking this morning. Right.
I'm waiting to see
Not
how
that
this
there's
plays
anything
out.
wrong with that, right? But, but you know, it really is, we give each other permission to affect us. When you're intimate with somebody, means you're allowing them space inside of your own heart. Right?
And
Okay, yes. Give us the balance.
ultimately, it's my responsibility to respond to whatever's being put out to decide whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. They're not causing me to feel anything. That's where I was kind of, okay, I'm not causing anybody to feel anything.
Right,
Ultimately, I'm responsible
I'm
for...
the one doing it to me.
Yes. So it's everything that comes at me really is neutral. It's how I take it in and how I perceive it and choose to interpret it. Right?
But what if somebody attacks you verbally and they say horrible things to you? Shouldn't you have a right to get upset at them and beat them up?
Sure, you can. I'm not sure how well
All
that'll
right,
play
but
for
tell
you.
me what I need to do.
I'm not sure how that would be the example of, okay, you can take the lower path and experience some things that aren't going to be too good
There you
for
go.
you, perhaps.
There you go.
Or you can choose something different and realize that in that moment, this really isn't about me. This is about whatever's coming from them.
What's the name of that book that I've never read, but I love the title? It says that what you think of me is none of my business. I love the title. I read the title, I said, I got it. I got it. Now, I'm sure it's a great book. You probably should read it. You can get it on Amazon. You know, I'm sure it's a great book. But I love the title, and it means something to me. What you think of me is none of my business, because it's your thinking. And sometimes our thinking is stinking thinking. Correct? So,
Yeah. So there's an organizing power
yes.
in the universe that knows how to put everything together, that knows how to put it together so that life works for our benefit. Yeah. See, that's happening. Mm-hmm. It's when we step in and muck up the process, right? Because we think we know how to do it better, or it should look like this, or it should look like that. But there is an organizing principle that has it all in order. And it's interesting because we've talked about this a lot in the last couple of days. Even when things look really chaotic, what's in the midst of that chaos?
Right.
There is an order there, right? Mm-hmm. So we have a choice every day to work with what is happening or to resist it.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of things that we say a lot, that what we resist persists. So if we resist it, we're going to keep getting more of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably best to be a little flexible, be willing to adjust, and go with what's showing up
Yeah.
in order to have the most peaceful and the highest and best outcome for things. It's just go with what's
Yeah.
showing up.
Well, Carolyn Mace, if anybody has read her books or listened to her speak, she says that the soul that is advancing, that is more mature, sees order in the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
But she says normal human beings, they can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
They only see order when things are smooth, right? And so the spiritual goal here is to be able to look at the chaos and say, oh, that is only temporary, and it's going to shake itself out. It's going to work itself out. So you say, how do you know that? Well, because I believe in a higher power. I believe in this organizing intelligence that's able to bring everything to where it needs to be, right? Now, some of you are here because that organizing intelligence says, hey, let's go over here to this one. You're okay. And somebody said something, you saw online, something happened, and you ended up here, you know? It's like we've known people that have come in and they sit down next to somebody, and that person becomes their very best friend in life. We've seen people come together and find their partner. They just sit down by them, and all of a sudden they're like, we're partners now, you know? And friendships. So, a lot of this, if we just let life be what it is, life will lead us where we need to be. Does that make sense?
So you think about when you pass, when you're traveling down the road and you pass a big hillside there that's overcome with like kudzu, and you look at that and you think, my gosh, what a wild, chaotic mess, right? But if you were to get down to the smallest parts of what's going on underneath there, there's lots of organized life going on underneath there. There's all kinds of insect activity that's very organized.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a little issue with ants in our
Yes.
kitchen this week. They are an organized
Bunch.
Right?
Here we are marching through your
Yes, I
kitchen,
mean, you
marching
see
through
'em
your kitchen.
right
We're
in a-
looking for
right in a
peanut
big
butter.
long line,
We're looking
you
for
know.
sticky stuff and sugar.
Right in a big long line, and if you spray one of them with vinegar, it's the group mind. They all start scattering. It's like that's organized. And that is going on many, many levels underneath that kudzu on the hill.
Yeah.
It looks like a mess, but there's all kinds of organization going on underneath there.
Yeah.
We're just not aware of it. So when we're not aware of the organizing principle at work, we have this divine power of order within us, and we can call on it, and we can
Right.
activate it.
Right.
We each have that. You have it, I have it. Some of us acknowledge it to a greater degree and some to a lesser degree. But that's okay. We can grow that. We can work on that, and we can mature that divine quality within us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Each one of us possess this power of order. We can call it in because it's inside of us. If you don't think that it is, think about how your body organizes itself every single day. Your heart, your liver, everything is working in balance, working in sequence. We're communicating. All the cells are communicating with each other. There are things happening on the inside of you. There's this organizing intelligence that's making sure that you breathe. It's like you're not thinking right now, oh, I need to remember to breathe. You just do it, don't you? Because there's an intelligence in you that says, okay, breathe. You know, it's just automatic. It's automatic. Yeah. Can you imagine being a caveman, trying to figure out how everything works? You ever think about that? No. I have thoughts. I have questions. How did they know that a carrot was a carrot? How did they know that, to grow potatoes? How did they know to do this kind of stuff? You think about it. I mean, but then you think, well, they have all these senses. We have this sense mechanism. You smell things, and the reason you smell things is because if the milk smells bad, what is that telling you? Don't drink it. See, that's divine guidance, right? And they would pick up something, and they'd start putting it in their mouth, they go, ooh, ooh, ooh. Until they got to the hot peppers, and they said, ooh. Right? So, we have this organizing intelligence working through our feelings, and we feel, it's like you feel your clothes. Does it feel good? Does it not feel good? You put a shirt on, you think, oh, this is itchy, this is scratchy, Well, that's telling you something, that's guiding you, right? Everything, all of this input, all of these sensations, it's all about being guided, in your perfect direction for you. Isn't that great? It's the perfect direction for you. And that's what we have to remember, because the direction I'm going or she's going, you may not want to go. That may not be your path, right? But maybe by us sharing our path, it helps you to see more clearly your path. You see how it works? That's what you do with the people in your life. You share. Right? You share the things that you've learned, and that helps somebody else. And doesn't that make you feel good when you help somebody? When they smile and go, oh, thank you for that. I appreciate that so much. Right? That's divine order. So if life is out of balance, then it can get hard, can't it? It's like your car. You're driving down the road, and all of a sudden, it keeps pulling one way or the other way. How many know what you need to do? You get a new car. No, I'm just kidding. You get your car aligned. You get your tires balanced. You get back in alignment. Back in alignment. I remember when we lived in Indiana, that happened a lot because there's a lot of chuck holes everywhere because of the snow and the salt on the road. The salt that eats away.
When you
roads.
do that, when you have a car that's out of alignment and you're constantly trying to keep it on the road where it needs to be, that gets very tiring.
It does.
It takes a lot of energy to drive a car like that, right? So if our car, our vehicle, us, if we're out of balance and we're constantly fighting to try to make things work, it's exhausting. It can be exhausting, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So how do we get ourselves back in alignment? That spiritual tune-up, that spiritual balancing alignment process.
Yeah. Oh, you're asking me?
I'm asking you.
Ah. Well, one of the keys here is that whenever there's a mess in our lives, okay, let's just call it a mess, it's because many times we're sweeping it under the rug and we're not allowing ourselves to see the truth for what it is.
Yep.
Okay? And the thing about that is after a while, you keep sweeping under the carpet and there's a big bump, a big lump in your carpet after a while. And so there's a big lump here. It's invisible, but there's a lump of all the issues and things that you refuse to deal with because I don't have time right now. I'm so busy with all this other stuff. Well, guess what? As long as you're ignoring, and I think it's interesting that the word ignore is in the word ignorance. Say it with me. It makes you think, doesn't it? Yeah. So to ignore the mess is not what we want to do. We want to face it, look at it. Because I've discovered that reality is not as harsh. It's not really as harsh as what I sometimes think that it is. If I just look at it from an objective mind, say, okay, this is what it is. This is what it is. So how can I rationally, logically, intuitively deal with it now? Make sense? How can I deal with it?
So, if you want to change something or you want to call something new into your life, you have to create space for it.
Ah,
So you think about the building process. If someone's going to build a new home and they have a lot, a piece of property, what's the first thing that they have to do with that piece of property? They have to go in and clear some things, right? They've got to make space on the property for the new construction. Well, the house is going to go here, but there's, all this kudzu here, and we have to clear that out, right? We have to clear the space where we're going to build this thing. Mm-hmm. And then what happens? Once it's cleared, they start bringing in the supplies, right? How many of you have watched a house go up and you see them clear and you're going, okay, what are they building there? I wonder what's going up there. And all of a sudden you see the trucks pulling up and leaving bricks and concrete and wood and this. I wonder what this is going to be. And it looks pretty chaotic for a while. You know something's going up. You know something's being built, but for the life of you, you can't figure out what it is. It's kind of chaotic looking. There's no grass. There's no trees, oftentimes, right? It just looks kind of blah, right?
that reminds me, when we built this building, the first thing they built was that brick wall there, which is what's called a Trom wall. It's a solar wall, and it's supposed to help it be hotter in the winter and cooler in the summer. Okay, that's what that was for. Because when we built this building, we made it a green building. You know, that's why the overhangs are a little longer, you know, and so it was the first green church building in the Greenville area. Isn't that something? So, well, thank you. But it was so interesting. They would build different things and say, now, why are they doing that? Why aren't they building that first? And because there's an order to it, right? There's an order to it. You've got to have the foundation first. You've got to have the things that are foundational first. And then you add on and you build.
So that is, when you have a well-developed power of order, divine power of order within you, then that's when your life begins to take on that, okay, we clear first, then we lay the foundation, then we start putting up the, what do you call those? Not the beams, but the trusses, thank you, right? Can you imagine if it were and we've seen films of it, I'm sure, of the Three Stooges bumbling around out there trying to put up the trusses on ground with no foundation or trying to stack bricks on this over here, right? That's unordered. That's what happens when it's underdeveloped. We get out there and we bumble around and we can't organize things, that we can't make things balance. We're not easy to say, okay, I need to make an adjustment here. I need to be a little flexible, right? Disorderly, disorganized, hard to adapt to change. The building site director comes on and says, well, look, guys, the foundation is not quite set yet. You need to hold off on putting those trusses up. I know better. It'll be fine. And I go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just asking for trouble. I'm just asking for things not to work out.
What about overdevelopment?
Well, overdevelopment is, we're so overly fastidious about the environment. Everything has to be a certain way, it's hyper detailed, obsessive compulsive. You don't have to admit if that's you, right? That picture is, I've done this when I go into a restaurant and I see a picture that's just slightly askew on the wall. I have a hard time eating. Because the picture on the wall bothers me the whole time I'm eating. Right? just want to move it over a little bit. So you think about the site director that comes on and has to measure every little thing, and well, this over here is not the same color blue as that blue is over here, and it's just a hyper
Yeah.
overlooking of everything. That's when that sense of divine order is overdeveloped. It becomes a hindrance to you rather
Right.
than an aid,
Right.
rather than a help.
What about elevated consciousness?
I don't know, you tell me.
The ability to organize, to sequence, to balance, and adjust based on ideas, principles, and truths and laws that are divine in nature. We use this power to adjust ourselves. You ever need an AA? An attitude adjustment?
Yeah.
Right? To organize our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, to be the best person that we can be. Charles Fillmore said the divine idea of order is the idea of adjustment. And as this is established in our thoughts, our mind and affairs will be one with the universal harmony.
Yeah.
See, that's our goal, is that oneness with all things. Say, to be unified and connected and feel that connection and know that connection, walk in that balance and that wholeness and that state of well-being. Yeah. Doesn't that sound good?
So we're ultimately talking about adjusting our
Thoughts
thinking,
And our feelings
right?
and
Our
actions.
beliefs and our thinking. Our thinking in such firm, determined, stringent ways, regardless of how it's affecting us. We're going to continue to think this way and believe this way, even though it's hurting me like heck. I'm going to keep on. Is that doing us any good? Right? It's that ability to be able to adjust and change our thinking and our belief structures.
Yeah.
There was a great quote last week, if you recall, that said something to the effect that if your belief is hurting you, it's time for a new belief because your truth shouldn't hurt.
Yeah. So what we're talking about here is the power of orchestration. The power of orchestration. Spirit is like a conductor that's leading the orchestra. Each player has a part. Each musician is playing their part in order to create the symphony, the sound, the music. And so each part of the music calls for various blendings working together and certain dynamics to create a beautiful symphony. Have you ever heard a middle school band that has just gotten started? I'll say no more, because I think you know, right? But then you listen, and over time, they begin to develop this orderliness to their music. They begin to learn how to listen, follow the conductor, and to read the music, and to hear the other parts, and to be able to blend and not be too loud, not be too soft, but just to be the right, whatever the instrument is, right? Whatever it is. And so, but not everybody plays at once. See, some folks are looking for their part, and they want to show up right now and do everything right now. Tell the person next to you, say, it may not be your time yet. Right? It may not be your time to step forward and to play and to do your solo. Say with me, I'm okay with that. Right? Because what are you doing? You're practicing. You're learning. You're growing. You're experiencing. You're getting more finely tuned and more refined in what you're doing. A practiced musician has a light touch and is able to control how much energy is used in creating the sound that they want to make. A novice has no clue about what the senior musician is doing. Do we need a soft touch, or do Do we need something strong and powerful? It just depends on the moment, right? Sometimes we're around people and we don't say anything. Okay? We don't say anything. And then sometimes we're around people and we give them way too much. We say too much. Say it with me, balance. We want to balance our cars. We want to balance ourselves and just give people what they need in that moment. They may not need anything. They just may need a listening presence. But they may need a word. They may need something that you have, learned. And if you're listening, if you're quiet, it'll just pop up. It'll just bubble up on the inside and you'll speak it. It'll just come forth out of you. You can't help it. But the key is not to give them too much. Right? I love good food, but I've learned I don't need too much. Right? So some people are like, bulls in a china shop. Everything is a nail, and so everything gets the hammer. It's always hammer time with some people. Have you noticed that? You get around them and they beat those dead horses. They're always talking about their politics or their religion or their ball team. And it's like, oh, I get it already. You love Clemson. Fantastic. I like Clemson too. I think they're great. You know what I mean? Whatever it is. And I just threw that out there. I know I made somebody mad just saying that. Somebody's like, well, I ain't coming back to this church. These people are here. They don't like, no, I didn't say that. I love Clemson. I just said, I don't want to hear.
Who's the opposing team here in South Carolina?
Well,
Oh, we love them too. They're fabulous. See, that's how you deal with that. We love them all.
But the moment calls for what is needed. The conductor knows how to bring everything down. And then you hear like the blending of the strings, right? And it's so sweet and beautiful, and it takes you somewhere. And then, there's the trumpeters or the brass instruments, and then boo, 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 they come out. And there's a different feeling. There's a different experience that you have when you go to the symphony. You experience all these feelings, all these emotions. But, if you've got one person up there thinking, well, they can't hear me. And so they stand up and I'm just going to play. I'm going to play, And that doesn't work. I've been in bands like that. When I was younger, a bunch of us guys would get together, and the drummer says, everything's about me. It's all about the drums. Then you have the lead guitar player said, no, it's about me. Right? And all the different players, everybody thinks it's, and no, it's about the blending. And that's what we do in a community. We learn how to blend with each other. We learn how to use our talents and to step forward when we're needed and to pull back and let somebody else step forward at times. Does that make sense? Because sometimes if you're burned out in whatever you're doing, that means you need to pull back. You say, but yeah, if I do that, there will be nobody to do it. Here's the key. Nature, the universe, abhors a vacuum. Right? So when you create space, somebody else will step into it. And if they don't, it's like we would have, a while back, when we were kind of rebuilding after the pandemic, we didn't have anybody to take care of the kitchen area. And so we said, okay, we'll just let it go. And then people would come and they go, where's the food? And they couldn't have that. And so people started bringing stuff, and things started getting filled back up. And that's what you do. You create a void, and then people will fill it. Isn't that great? And it works. It really works, because you know that there's a divine plan, that every part of the orchestra, they have their part. And if you have one of these gifts, when your time comes, you'll stand up and share your gift, because it's the music of your soul. Don't die, Wayne Dyer said, not having played the music that you come here to play. Don't die with the song in here, right? When it's your time, sing like a canary. Right? Wasn't it good?
So anybody that's been in a band or orchestra knows that the most instrumental part of that whole organized group is the conductor, right? You practice your part. I'm the cello player. I practice my part. I know it. I can play it blind, whatever. But I know my part. I'm playing with 100 other people who are all playing their part, and the tempo has to be just right. You know, I have to come in at just the right spot with everybody else. And the conductor is what keeps that all going. And we watch the conductor to see what it is we're supposed to do, when we're supposed to come in. Who is the conductor of our lives? Mm-hmm. Right? Divinity, divine mind, divine principle.
That divine order.
And when we get our eyes off of that, we wind up coming in too
chaos.
late,
Yeah.
coming in too soon,
Yeah.
playing something when I'm not supposed to. What, right? It's the conductor. We keep our eyes on the conductor. We keep our thoughts, our attention, our focus on our spiritual practice.
Yeah. We had a guy who played the saxophone. And he had been playing for years and years and played in lots of different venues. And he could just show up, you know. And as long as they had the music and had the conductor, he could just play. He could just do it, right? And he just did it. And they would hire him to come in and play with, you know, big orchestras and behind well-known famous people. He just in there. And when it was his time, you know, and was able to do it. And I always thought, wow, that's an amazing gift. That's an amazing gift. But see, all of us have that gift. All of us have that gift, right? But sometimes we get confused with the timing. You know what the human being wants, right? I want it now. And if it's not now, I'm going to be miserable. Let's say it together. That's your choice. So perhaps you've been waiting for your part to come up. Here's some questions for you. Have you been practicing? Are you practicing? Are you ready to step into the first chair? Do you want to make beautiful music? Is your soul ready to shine? Are you ready to collaborate with others? Because how many understand that you're on a planet with what? Is it 8 billion people now? A lot of folks. So we have to collaborate, don't we? We have to work together. So look for the signs all around you. Pay attention to the conductor. And don't worry about the missed opportunities of the past. Everybody is like, oh, I didn't do it that one time, and so therefore my opportunity's gone, and I don't know what I'm going to do. No, wait a minute. The universe will keep bringing you new opportunities if you pay attention and you're practiced and you're ready to go when it's your time. Let Spirit lead you. Doesn't matter if you've fallen down. That's part of the learning, isn't it? You have to play a bad note before you learn how to play the good note, because you hear the bad often enough, you go, you know, for some reason that just doesn't sound good. And you finally figure that out, so you start playing something that sounds good. And it starts to make sense. This is all about divine order. Do you love divine order? Let's take a breath. We're going to turn down the lights. So I wrote a song yesterday. Wow. And we're going to do it today. Isn't that something? And the name of this song is Divine Order. So I just invite you to get comfortable right where you're at. Settle into this moment. Let Spirit have control. There is power deep within you. Watch the ways that it unfolds. Divine order. Divine order. Divine order. Divine order. Seek harmony and purpose. Speaking now this decree. Find the balance in your energy. Pay attention to what you see. Divine order. Divine order. Divine order. Divine order. Calling in divine order. Bringing in divine order. It's divine order. Settle into this moment. Let Spirit have control. There's a power within you. Watch the way it unfolds. Divine order. Divine order. Divine order. Divine order. Divine order. Divine order. So let's take a breath together. We've called it in. We've talked about it. We've considered it. The only thing left to do now is to allow it to work in our lives. Divine order. When there is divine order, you'll notice the beauty that's already there. And the beauty that wants to appear in your life. The good that wants to show up for you. If you pay attention and notice and listen. What do you hear? What are you sensing right now? Can you see through the chaos? Can you see through it now? And understand that there's a blueprint for your life. There's a calling. There's a gift There's an ability that you have that is unique to you. And there are others that have this gift, but the way you express it, the way you show up with this gift is unique to you. And when you don't show up to share your gift, we miss it. There's something missing. There's something missing. There's another piece of the puzzle that needs to be brought into place. There's an adjustment that needs to be made, a balancing. So just let your energy be balanced this morning from the top of your head to the soles of your feet. All of those spinning wheels are now all moving in the right direction, and your energy is moving and becoming more and more balanced and centered, feeling good. Allowing that to restore order into your life. Maybe there are people in your life that you feel like they're out of alignment, maybe. They appear to be out of order. Let us call in more order and balance into their lives. Your loved ones, your family, your friends, people that you work with, your next door neighbors. Let us call in divine order. Let us see it. Let us express this beautiful power, this beautiful gift to and for others. Because you are a gift to the world. Remember that you are a gift. And we need you to be the light that you are. Let's take a breath together. When even through the storms that we're seeing in the world, the fires, the hurricanes, the winds, the rain, the waters, the flooding, all of this, the hurt, the confusion, it all looks like chaos on an outer level, and it is. But out of that chaos, we call forth divine order. As people show up, and they help, and they give, and they serve, and they share, and they support, we see beauty, beautiful things coming to pass. We see the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new cycle, of a new day, a new time in all of our lives. We're beginning to see the opportunities. We're beginning to act upon those opportunities. We're so grateful and we're thankful. And so let us, for just a moment, I want you to hold in the stillness this one thought: divine order. So now, we give thanks in the name of the Christ, in the name of the good, in the name of the holy and the sacred, and that which is beautiful. We say, Amen. And so it is. Take a moment and stretch.